Orestes, I am beside you. Wherever you range, I guard your steps. The Furies are quiet. These hags, hated by gods and men, for a while they sleep. Now is your chance. Hurry, be off, be strong. They will hunt you through the mountains and over the continent. They will hunt you from island to island, city to city. Wherever earth can be trodden, they will pursue you. Bear your suffering to Athens. Embrace the image of Athene. Beg her for help.
Apollo, I commit my whole life to your guidance.
Above all, keep your courage firm as the blade that never wavered when it did the work.
Wake up! Wake up! Wake up! You are forgetting me! The dead begin to remember the man I killed, and they curse me. They drive me through the underworld, screaming after me. There she goes, the murderess of Agamemnon. That's her, the monster Clytemnestra. They accuse me, charge me, try me, and convict me, as if my son had never touched me. Wake up! Get to work! Let the world know why you are hunting Orestes. Raise the cry! Look at this wound he made here under my ribs. That was my son's homecoming gift. He has leapt out of the trap while you snore and slumber on. You powers of the earth, hear me in your sleep. Clytemnestra was murdered by her own son. Clytemnestra, she is screaming to you from under the earth. Remember!
You gods in heaven, you have kept me here on this tower, all night, every night, for 12 months, tethered on the roof of this palace, like a dog. It's time to release me. I've stared long enough into this darkness, what never emerges. I'm tired of the moon, coming and going, like watching the tide in its prison yard, with its two turns, in, out, in, out. I'm sick of the heavens, sick of the darkness. The one light I wait for never comes. Maybe it never will come. A beacon flare that leaps from peak to peak, bringing the news from Troy. Victory! After 10 years, victory! The one word that Clytemnestra prays for. Queen Clytemnestra, who wears a man's heart in a woman's body, a man's dreadful will in the scabbard of her body, like a polished blade, a hidden blade. I get up, sodden with dew. I move about to shift my aches. I lie down. The aches harden worse. No dreams, no sleep, only fear. Like a solid lump of indigestion, here, high in my belly, seething. Singing's good for fear, but when I try to sing, weeping comes. I weep, there's no holding it down. Everything's changed since the old days. Order, safety, splendour, the rightful king. All gone. You gods release me. Let that light come leaping out of the east to release me. Wait. Where did that light come from? Down there, in pitch darkness, that point. That's new. It just appeared, and getting bigger. A flickering point. The fire. The beacon. Tell the queen, the beacons are lit. The king is coming home. Agamemnon is coming. Troy has fallen.
Throughout Argos, every altar of every god is ablaze, from the kitchen shrines to the high temple of Zeus. Fortunes and rich oil go up in smoke, smudging the dawn, while cherished beasts fall to their knees in a flood of blood.
Are we right to smell hope in all this? Or has a worse fear come?
10 years ago, the sons of Atreus, Menelaus and Agamemnon, both divine kings, assembled 1,000 ships crammed with the youth of Hellas, and sailed across the sea to punish Priam,
So now Zeus, protector of the sacred trust between the guests and the host, sends the 2 sons of Atreus to rip the boasting tongue from between the lips of Paris and Helen from his bed, so they shall splinter and twist their bodies, strong men kneel in their own blood.
We were too old. Second childhood, propped on sticks, kept us out of the battle. We stayed here, on the scrap heap, playing with our dreams.
As our 2 kings set out, as their floating forest of spears lifted anchor, 2 birds, hook-beaked, big-winged birds, a black bird and a white bird, sailed over, on the right, good fortune. Then these 2 birds, the black bird and the white bird, flushed and drove and killed a hare, heavy with their twins. The whole army saw them kill the pregnant hare. Calchas recognized those birds, the black bird and the white, Menelaus and Agamemnon. Calchas cried to the whole army of the 2 kings.
What does this kill mean? I will tell you. It means victory with a twist. When you have emptied Troy of her blood and her babies, then you can expect the anger of heaven. Beautiful Artemis has heard the death cry of the hare. Will she bless the triumph of the great birds? Can she forgive the death cry, inaudible to man, of the unborn? Apollo, healing god, allay her anger, before she exacts a compensation that none of us can pay. Before she pins the fleet in lee of some island under a fixed wrong wind, forcing the 2 kings to sacrifice a beloved, bewildered, lovely creature. A sacrifice that cannot be eaten. A sacrifice that poisons the heart and pours its blood into this palace. The bloody footprints of a sacrificed child.
This is how Calchas the seer, in the middle of the murder of the hare.
Agamemnon heard a terror, stirring and looming. To the words of the seer, he was no longer a man in a man's body. He was a war machine, a launch campaign, a whole nation of vengeance. Meanwhile, the wrong wind had caught their fleet and pinned them under the lee of Argos. In that bay, the whole army lay trapped. The weeks passed, the rigging in the ships rotted, and the men fermented.
Men's minds started to go. Explosions of boredom, screaming quarrels, senseless killings.
Mutinies, desertions, feuds between factions.
Finally, the sickness. Under that locked wind, that overcrowded prison that had been an army became a hospital.
At that point, Calchas the seer spoke for heaven. He told us what had to be done to shift the wind. Agamemnon, when he heard it, roared with anguish. The warlords, incredulous with grief, pounded their royal staves against the earth. But then, Agamemnon, our general for good reason, mastered himself in painful words.
If I obey the goddess, my own daughter has to die. If I deny the goddess, this whole army has to dissolve. If I obey the goddess and kill my daughter, what do I become? A monster to myself, to the whole world, and to all future time. A monster, painting my royal palace afresh with the blood of Iphigenia, filling the drinking cups of my family with the blood of Iphigenia, perfuming my bath after the battle with the blood of Iphigenia. This is how I shall live on in men's minds. But if I deny the goddess, then what happens? Will it be worse, an utter defeat for us all? And for me, disaster. As if I deserted this army, shunned my men, shunning men, and wherever men gossip together, a term of contempt. And so ought every warrior to live, as if already dead.
With these words, Agamemnon surrendered to necessity. The prayers go up. Her father gives the signal. Iphigenia is hoisted off her feet by attendants. They hold her above an improvised altar, like a struggling calf.
The wind presses her long dress to her body, flushes at her skirts and tugs at her tangled hair. "Daddy," she screams. "Daddy." The voice is swept away by the boom of the surf.
The thud turns aside with a word she cannot hear. She chokes, hands cramming gag into her throat. So the cry that might have cursed the house of Atreus was trapped in his head and body.
I saw nothing else. I could not watch it, but I shall see the words of the prophet fulfilled. If it must come, when it comes there'll be time to bewail it.
Clytemnestra,
We honour you. In the absence of Agamemnon, the king gone, we honour his queen.
what is the news, good or bad, that kindles the fires of all these altars? Or is it only a rumour? Just one more rumour.
We hardly dare ask, but our loyalty makes us bold.
Good news should be delivered in a glory, like the sun itself from the womb of night. This dawn is like a daughter to me, more beautiful than hope dared to imagine. Troy has fallen, and our kings have sacked it.
Who could be certain? How could Troy have fallen?
Only a lying god could have deceived me.
Maybe a rumour. Or while you slept, a dream deceived you.
You think me a feeble girl? Do you know who I am?
When did Troy fall?
Last night. This glorious morning is born out of it. This huge beacon blaze out of the east. The Greek army has taken Troy, and now they are shaking it empty. The women of Troy are a population of mourners. The men of Troy are a litter of corpses. And now the conquerors, our husbands, our fathers, our sons, they sleep in the beds of the families they have slaughtered. But now, let them take care to respect the gods of that city. So long as they violate nothing sacred, violate no temple, shrine, priest or priestess, perhaps these destroyers of a city will escape destruction. It is tempting for the winner, who might have lost his life, to take all, and to destroy what cannot be taken. Let us hope that they restrain themselves. The dead will have many an opportunity to avenge themselves in full on those who have angered the gods. I speak as a woman. Hear me. Let the cycle of killing end here. Murder for murder, evil for evil. Let this be the end of it. And let our hope succeed. I have great hope.
We shall soon know whether those beacons converted the whole of Argos to a land of dazed fools and sleepwalkers. Here comes a herald.
Now for the truth. Not a mouthful of flames and beacons, but the plain words of an eyewitness, whether we like them or not. Let us hope he confirms the flames and beacons.
At last I stand on the land where I was born. Today's sun has lifted me out of the east and brought me home. After 10 years, the one hope that matters has come true. The unlikeliest of my hopes, to die at home. You palaces, you walls, thrones and altars, welcome the creation of a new splendour. Welcome Agamemnon, the king, to every one of us. Zeus set Agamemnon's hand to the plough that has toppled Troy's roots upwards. Her towers rubble, her territory flayed and gutted between his finger and thumb. Agamemnon, son of Atreus, has crumbled the city of Troy like dry tinder. And now he returns, the conqueror, to claim his honours.
Welcome this man, herald of the Greek army, herald of the fall of Troy.
10 years I have prayed for this moment when I could happily die.
Homesickness tortured you.
My tears now are for joy.
But misery was half happy.
How half happy.
You needed your home, but your home needed you.
Argos needed us. What threatened you? Who? Did any oppress you? Or attack you?
Long ago we learned to keep our mouths shut. Where silence is good health, speech can be fatal.
Who threatened Argos in the king's absence?
You have told us how death here would be welcome. You could be speaking for us. Death would be welcome.
A huge task is done. All as we wished it, yet what did it amount to? We suffered in the ships, tortured by boredom and lice. And on land, the dog holes were worse. The stench, the rats, the cockroaches worse. Then, God help us, the winter. The wind off those white peaks could snap a man's back if he bent of a sudden. Then, in midsummer, the heat, the sea was a puddle of lead. The earth, too hot for bare foot sole. The touch of bronze blistered. Thank God it's all over, no point bemoaning it. And the dead, we left out there, they rest easy. All we have is life and a future. These exist and are good. If we are wise, we'll stay humble. One thing we can say, great Argos has destroyed the city of Troy, and the spoils of Troy's palaces are trophies over the altars of the gods of Hellas.
Let us bring this news to Clytemnestra. This news is for her. She has lived for it. I am happy simply to overhear it.
I started my rejoicing for this victory, when the flames of Troy's blaze jumped half the world to let me see it. I was laughed at, men judged a credulous woman. Yet I went ahead. I sacrificed, I gave thanks to the gods. Don't bother to give me your herald's official details. I shall have the whole thing from the mouth of Agamemnon. No woman knows a day sweeter than this day, when she opens her arms to clasp her smiling husband, brought back from a war by the hand of God. But first, take him this message. Argos loves him. His wife waits for him, and she loves him as when he sailed, faithful only to the one master. His treasures untouched, his queen untouched by any man, fingered by scandal no more than a woman who dry weapons.
Are such words necessary? A queen boasting so strangely? Why should she trouble us with such denials?
To a clear understanding, her words are clear.
This is no day to count out sorrows. It's a day for thanking the gods. I haven't arrived here with bulging eyes, terrified by what I have to tell you. I bring victory, the word of jubilation throughout Argos. A word like a drug that maddens with joy.
Iris came, light-hearted, a guest, honoured at the table of Menelaus, and in contempt for the house of Atreus and heaven's law, stole his host's wife.
The light-footed Helen flitted with Paris. She left in Argos a thunder of anger, a hammering of bronze, assembling of ships, and she took to Troy a terrible dowry, annihilation.
Troy made a single error. It forgot the meaning of the word pledge. It forgot the terrible warriors hidden in the belly of that word. It forgot the guarantee of Zeus of anyone who spoke that word. The pledge between guest and host. The pledge between bride and groom.
Troy married Paris to Helen, and their ignorant marriage song deafened them to those warriors, and the bellowing fury of Zeus that poured from the world when Paris had broke twice, deafened them to the price, and Troy must pay for Helen.
The farmer took a lion cub home. He let it suckle milk with the lambs. It played with his children, and they cuddled it. The shepherd nursed the cub in his arm or on his knees. The neighbours laughed and thought it wonderful to see a lion cub licking the father's face.
But the lion's nature could not be hidden. Time passed, and the day of the lion dawned over the farmer's whole family. The screams and roars went up, and under the doors blood came hurrying from the work of the lion. King, crusher of Troy, King!
What words would be fitting for what you have done? Your victory is ours too. We honour you, Agamemnon. Among us, the stay-at-homes, you will soon sort out those who are loyal.
And the others, you'll find them too.
First, let me thank the gods for the favour Argos. You gods shared the revenge I took on Troy. You gods share my triumph. Having heard the prayers of Argos, because they were just, but the prayers of Troy, they were empty. And in the end, Troy was suffocated in the smoke of its own burning wealth. The gods can never be thanked as they should be thanked. Let everybody thank the gods. The line of Argos, ablaze on our shields, burst forth from the belly of the horse, and left the city a bloody stain on this earth. And as for your wise words, I know they are timely. Not all smiling faces can be trusted. Let's fix a date for an assembly. We shall examine the body of the state. Wise voices will be valued. And as for the disaffected, no matter who, or any civil infection, no matter what, our surgery shall cut deep.
Why should I be ashamed to let the world hear my love for my husband? I want to cry out what I've learned through 10 years of bitter waiting. For a woman to sit at home alone while her husband flips his life like a coin, heads or tails, in the dust of a far-off distant battle. I had to listen to travellers, day after day, darkening their house with their latest and worst. Do you see why our son Orestes is absent? Think, if you had been killed, what of him? Strophius, your faithful friend, warned me what would be the fate of Orestes if you had fallen at Troy. Here in Argos, conspirators at every street end. Do you see why our son Orestes is absent? Agamemnon, step down from your chariot. But this bare earth is too poor for the foot that trod on the neck of Troy. Hurry, the long carpets of crimson. Unroll the embroideries of vermilion and purple. The richest silks of Argos are frustrated to cushion his every footfall. Justice herself shall kiss his instep and lead him step by step into the home he never hoped to see. After this, everything shall follow as the immortals have planned.
Guardian of my name, of my house, your eulogies are like my absence. Too long, too much. And if I am to be glorified, leave it to others. Do not bend before me like a flattering oriental, to drape my neck in flowering orations. Do not massage me in public with overpraise. And do not spread for me this crimson carpet, which should be spread only for the feet of descended gods. Do not spread them for me. Greet me as a man. Greet me as a god, and the gods will punish us all. True praise them for none of these trimmings.
The gods have been good. Your treasuries are overflowing with this kind of wealth.
This is not for me. My heart throbs with foreboding.
This could have been your promise to the gods. You could have sworn to enter your home treading these cloths in their honour. If only they would have brought you safely out of some desperate corner. In that moment, you might easily have promised your rescuers such a splendour.
I might, if some holy man had approved it.
And if the gods had let you die there, if they had thrown you down to be mutilated and shamed by some warrior of Priam's, how would Priam have celebrated that? Surely he would have thrown down these cloths to carpet his triumph.
I have no doubt he would.
You dare not take possession of your triumph, or act like the conqueror you are. You are afraid of the rabble's disapproval.
Do you mean the rabble, or the people?
No man can be a winner on this earth without being cursed by the envy of the rest. The courage to win is the courage to face envy.
A woman who fears nothing. Is she a woman?
What can you fear? You are the absolute conqueror. Surrender just a little. For me.
Ah, so this is a contest which you must win.
You have your victory. Let me have mine.
How determined you are. Here, come unlace these leathers that have trampled the walls of Troy, and let no god resent me or be offended as I trample this wealth under my unwashed feet. Woven fibres, costly as wire of silver. This heaped up, spilled out wealth in my own house. Do I make too much of it? But since you've conquered me in this matter of treading the crimson path, let me enter my house at last.
O Zeus, you who bring everything to fulfillment, now fulfill my wish. Let me perform your will. Let me fulfill it.
Dark weight in the earth. Some horror is close, some evil setting cold on the skin.
Knowledge of it is weakening my entire body. I cannot argue it away, or escape it. Common sense plain reason cannot get oxygen.
We can pray to Yarm. Pray that these feelings are mistaken.
The house suffers the surplus of its wealth. The gods, the jealous, the dangerous gods, will surely buy them off.
Zeus executed the healer who could resurrect the dead. That was wise. That gave man's life value. What is a life on earth worth? What must a murderer pay for a life that cannot be bought back?
How far back the track of blood and bloody guilt began. A house that hates God. A house that God hates. Walls weeping blood. Housing butchered innocents. The blood and bones of children.
This house is full of demons. They laugh and rustle and whisper inside the walls. They shift things in darkness and sing madness into royal ears. Madness till royal wonders piles the bed of his brother. The foundations of the house of Atreus split open when it happened.
Look at them, sitting on the wall. Children cradling bundles of their own butchered bodies, just as their father ate them. Tore the meat from the bone and washed it down with gulps of wine.
This crime has to be paid for. There's a lion in this palace, a cowardly lion, plotting the death of the king, whose bed he lulled in for years, while the king crushed the city of Troy.
And now, a heart pounding thick with hatred behind that door.
Blood pours after a body that expected alone, taken by surprise, naked, helpless, bound in a net of pitiless fate, coming through the meshes and laid again and again.
She is washing her husband in his own blood. He reaches from the bath for her hand as it jerks into pitch darkness.
Now the net, the fish-eyed terror, death is bodily evil. Like a mother swaddling a child, the woman who shares his bed is driving the wrongs through.
Furies crowd into this house, gorged with the blood of this house.
Whose voice is that? Someone is being murdered.
That was a death cry. And it was the king. Quick, what should we do? We must have a plan.
The whole city ought to assemble instantly under arms.
Too slow and vain. We should break in and burst open the doors. Catch them in the act.
Yes, act now. Somewhere or another, we must act now.
The king assassinated, after very bloody regicide, set to tyrant.
Talk, mutter, mutter. We want action, we trample on caution.
One thing is certain. Whatever we do, the king stays dead.
What? Live like slaves under the feet of these gangsters just for peace?
Better dead than have our mouths stopped by a tyrant's heel.
We're in too much of a hurry. We heard the screams for sure. But is the king dead?
Then it seems agreed. We make a sober inquiry about the king's health.
You heard me pronounce the words required by the moment. The moment has passed. Those words are meaningless. How else could I have killed this man, my deadliest enemy? Lies and embraces were simply my method, the knots that in the net that enmeshed him. I pondered this for a long time, and when the moment for action came, I made no mistake. See, my work perfected. I don't disown it. His struggles merely tighten the tangle. Then, at my leisure, choosing the best places on his helpless body, I pushed the blade into him. Once, twice. Twice he screamed. You heard him. Then his eyes stared elsewhere. His body arched like a bowstring being strung, every muscle straining for life. I placed the point a third and final time, and drove the blade clean through him. That was my thanks to God for fulfilling my prayers. I offered this murder up to God, protector of the dead. So there it is, old men of Argos. Applaud or weep as you please, I exult. He filled the wine jars of this house with evil, not with wine, but with blood. Just as we pour out wine to thank the gods for the traveller's safe return, we have poured out the blood that poisoned this house, poisoned Argos, and now, as the last dregs of it clot in his hair, has poisoned him.
Your words are stupefying. You rejoice so shamelessly over the husband you've just murdered.
You think I am some irresponsible woman. You are making a mistake. My heart and my brain are like this blade, bronze and forged with a cruel purpose. Here's my husband, Agamemnon. dead as the floor that he cannot feel and from which he will never get up. And here is the hand that justice contracted to kill him. And it killed him.
Horrible woman. Some drug has snarled your brain. Some viperous root has twisted your woman's feelings into subhuman knots. You no longer see what you have done. No longer feel the touch of guilt. The hard clutch of murder guilt.
All Argos will condemn this work of yours with cries of lauding that will drive from Argos. Outlawed, polluted, accursed!
How ready you are of a sudden to bleat about banishment. The righteous curse of the public. Where were they? And where were you? When this monster here butchered his own daughter on the block. He found it easier than sacrificing one of his precious cattle to murder my daughter like somebody else's goat. All to persuade the wind to shift a few points. He ripped my daughter's throat and shook the blood out of her to gratify his whimpering lovesick brother and catch a runaway girl. Why didn't you judge Agamemnon? He murdered his own daughter, my daughter, on the whim of some shivering priest who had to come up with something. He was the criminal, to be punished and banished. It never occurred to you. Why not? You were afraid of him. But now, you have the power to be righteous. You think you can handle me? Let's put it to the test. Let's see what your power amounts to when you discover how little power you have. I shall teach you, old men, the lesson you failed to learn when you were children.
Yes, power. It is power that has driven you mad. Power and the greed for more power have turned your cunning stupid. The time is fast coming when your blood will join Agamemnon's. Dishonored, friendless, every man's hand against you, wound for wound, you shall pay.
You are forgetting something. I too can swear a sacred oath. The gods can hear me too. By my daughter's protector, justice, I swear I am not afraid of this murderous avenger. While my own protector, Aegisthus, stands at my hearth beside me. With such a shield, I feel my strength and fear nothing. While this one here, this harvester of all Troy's fallen girls, who trampled out their wine and soured my life, lies dead as a gutted fish.
He was our king, our holy leader. Mourn him. He protects his people. What happens to Argos without him?
Vulnerable evil. The spirit of evil was the face of Clytemnestra. The curse descends generation to generation to form your words. It rides behind your lips, flares at your eyes, and wields your thoughts.
Then blame the curse. Yes, blame the curse that hates our house. She slakes her thirst and her hatred through every generation. And the salt blood of her every feast crazes her with a new thirst for the next.
You are not guiltless. Maybe possession by some supernatural being gave you the insane strength, but you yourself prayed for it.
If I was treacherous, when Agamemnon cursed this house afresh by killing his own daughter, my daughter, and his treachery was worse, while I wept myself blind, he closed his eyes. He closed his eyes, and the sword he brought down on the nape of her neck severed his own backbone.
Where is the right and wrong in this nightmare? Each becomes the ghost of the other. Each is driven mad by the ghost of the other. Who can reason it out? Who will bury him? Will you? First kill him, then bewail him, then heap his tomb with your lies.
I killed him. I'll bury him. There will be no fuss, no futile pompous dispute. And Iphigenia, his beloved daughter, who died a mere girl, will welcome him to the land of the dead with a silent kiss.
Revenge begets revenge. It is the law of Zeus, a life for a life. But this law of Zeus is a kind of disease inherited through the blood. See how it has crazed every member of this house.
Now you are beginning to understand. The murderer must die. Everything that has happened, horrible as it is, I accept. You powers, whoever you are that hammer out your remorseless logic in the heartbeat of this house, leave us. Find some other blood-gutted family tree of murder. I ask for nothing now the killing is over, only to be left in peace.
Justice. At last, the day of justice has dawned. This is perfect proof that the gods watch men and punish evil. What a beautiful sight to see this man gagged and bound. At last he is paid for the inhuman crimes his father committed against my father. You should know, his father and my father quarreled. Agamemnon's father Atreus ruled Argos. He had driven out of the city my father, his brother, Thyestes. Thyestes came back, forgave, begged to be forgiven, sat at the hearth of Atreus, a supplicant, happy simply to live in peace with his brother, happy simply to live. Atreus hid his hatred. He gave my father a banquet. He took my two brothers, the two eldest sons of Thyestes, cut their throats and bled them, butchered them and stewed the meat, the feet with their toes, the hands with their fingers. He hid at the bottom of the dish. Over those he laid steaks and collops, then the livers, the kidneys, the hearts, the brains. This was the dish set steaming before my father. He had gorged himself to honour the feast, before he discovered what he was swallowing. When he recognized it, when he saw the hands and the feet, he fell backwards, he kicked the table over, and as the bowl shattered, he screamed out this curse. Just as this bowl shatters, so let the whole lineage of Atreus be shattered and spilt. That day was fatal to Agamemnon. As this corpse proves, I plotted this killing. I was the third brother, an exiled babe left to nurse my stricken father. Justice guided my steps a long way round to this palace. Now, seeing justice so comfortably done, I think I could die happy.
Regicide, you have condemned yourself. If this plan was yours, then your life is the price.
Do I hear mutterings from below the decks? Do you hear the slaves? You old men are about to learn something, and the lesson is going to be hard. Be careful what you say to the club that can break your teeth.
Justice, you're a woman. While the king fought and Dowson's died, you sprawled on his bed and polluted his wife. And when he came back home, you made yourself scarce.
What you say sounds like a man about to break down in tears. Your yapping pesters our ankle. It's time you felt the weight of your master.
Your weight. You, our master, on the throne of Agamemnon, who plotted his murder so coolly. Then let a woman do it.
It needed a woman. She was my bait. She lured him into my trap, essential to my plot. How could he have trusted me, knowing our history? But now, his treasury flowing through my hands will help the people to love me and obey me. But the stubborn ones, the stiff-necked, will find themselves broken.
You are fearless with us, but you fled and hid from the eyes of Agamemnon. You corrupted a woman to kill him because you did not dare. Where is Orestes?
Good fortune, you blessed with good fortune. Guide the feet of Orestes. Bring his avenging sword to rid the earth of this pair.
You hear these grey-haired revolutionaries? Guards, finish the killing.
Our swords are ready, and we are ready for death and honour.
You were praying for death. Now you can have it.
Stop! Stop! Beloved Aegisthus, the killing is over. We have planted enough of this horrible fruit. The ripening of the first crop will bring us more than enough grief. You elders, be wise. What had to be done is done with. Destiny cannot be sidestepped. Her sword has gone through me twice. I am bowed. I accept it. You too accept it.
They cannot get away with it. I felt their contempt. You heard their insults. Will you let them push all that back into their scabbards?
No man of Argos will bend his neck to a dog.
But they will bend their necks to one who will whip them like dogs.
Orestes' fate. Find Orestes.
No doubt he's chewing the cud of exile somewhere.
While you gorge on the carcass of justice, fatten while you can.
You fools. These words you're so eager to release will return to kill you.
You muck-heap cockerel. Even your head is ashamed of you.
Whatever comes from their mouths, it amounts to nothing. Their feet are kicking in the air. You and I are just this. We are the law. The lives of all the people of Argos dangle on our every word. Whatever word we speak, that is the law. At last, the throne of Argos is ours.
Hermes, you who guide the soul after death into the underworld, right my wrong, hear my prayer. I've come home after long exile to claim what's mine. I offer the hair of my head to you, my father. Cutting off this lock, I lay down my childhood. This is my mourning, my grief, my oath. I was not there when they killed you, but now I've arrived to do what must be done. Who are those women? Do they come here? Mourners? They come this way. And so visibly isolated by her cruel sorrow, Electra, my sister. Zeus, O great God, let me have revenge for my father. Grant me only this. Be with me as I step towards this. I should stand aside. I want to hear what those women are up to, and I may learn more.
A shout broke the silence of midnight. Sleepers lay awake in terror. A dream was bellowing through all the rooms of the house, out of the sleeping throat of Clytemnestra.
Fate used her sleeping mouth to tell every listener that the dead were furious for vengeance against the murderers. So the queen, detested by the gods and the dead, sent us at first light to pour out offerings into the earth's lap. Rich wine, wrung from the terrible heart of Clytemnestra, which now begins to stagger with fear. What prayers can wash this house, or wash this accursed royal house? Once all proud Argos willingly bowed to a monarch who had earned his place, not anymore. Reverence is drained into the soil like wine from a shattered goblet. Nothing remains but how great the blood can get away with it. Women, you who are bound to serve this house, since you attend me here too at the performing of this rite, advise me. What prayers ought I to pray with all these gifts for a tomb? Shall I pour the wine out crying, I bring this from your wife, my mother Clytemnestra, and I pour it as a pledge of our love? That would need a tongue of bronze. I cannot pour out the wine and follow the custom, asking for a blessing on the givers when I should be asking for justice.
Pour the wine and pray for those you can trust.
Those I can trust? Who can I trust?
Yourself and all who hate Aegisthus.
For myself. And for you. What other can there be that I can trust?
Pray for Orestes. Pray for more of Orestes.
Orestes? Yes, for Orestes.
And for the murderers pray that a god or a man may come, bringing justice.
To judge. To convict. To condemn.
To kill. Blood for blood. Pray for that.
Can God hear a prayer for assassination?
Evil for evil is justice, and justice is holy.
O Hermes, messenger of the gods, pathfinder and guide of the underworld, speak for me. Awaken the powers of the dark earth, protect us of this house. And now, I pour out the water of purification for my dead father, and call on his spirit. Father, pity your children. We are disinherited and homeless, bartered by our own mother, sold off in exchange for Aegisthus. How shall we get our home back? Aegisthus and your queen, Clytemnestra, glitter among the luxury of your treasures, like two serpents, coiled together in a gorged sleep. Father, where is Orestes? Guide him home, hear my prayer and answer it. All I ask for myself is to be unlike my mother. Hands, heart, thoughts clean, unlike my mother. Conscience clean, undarkened by blood, unlike my mother. These prayers are for us, and now for our enemies. Father, your avenger, let him come with a blade, remorseless as the blade they push through you, and let him measure it out, the length, the breadth, death for death, justice for murder.
Out of our eyes our tears are bottomless. Pour them for Agamemnon. Bring his avenger. Bring the resolving blade to cut the rope of guilt that chokes this house. The strangling cramp of the two bodies knotted in their crime. Hack them apart.
The wine has gone into the grave.
My father drinks my libation. What is this? A tress of hair laid on my father's grave.
Is it the hair of a man or woman? Who laid it there?
Can't you see whose it is?
If you know, tell us. Whose is it?
No other from Agamemnon's house would have offered it if not me.
Your mother might have. She were not his killer.
Colour, texture, everything about it as I hold it all so familiar.
What's so familiar? Whose hair does it resemble?
The hair of my family.
Orestes.
The hair resembles his.
How could Orestes dare set foot in Argos to lay this tribute of hair on his father's grave?
He mourns at a distance. He sent it in secret.
He had to send it. Orestes dare not stand in his native land at his family's tomb.
No other from Argos sent this. Not that murderess, my mother. Nevertheless, my heart struggles. It faints at the belief that Orestes sent this tress of hair. If this hair could speak for itself, could bless me, and bless this tomb, and honour Agamemnon.
Your prayers are answered. Now you can boast that the great gods hear and obey.
Who are you? Which of my words do the gods obey?
Your oldest prayer, fulfilled this very moment.
If you know my secret prayer, you know the name it bears.
Your every heartbeat pronounces a name.
Orestes. Do I call you Orestes? It is you, Orestes, the face of my four joys, all that remains of our father, all that remains of our mother, who became the murderess of our mother when she murdered our father, all that remains of our sister, Iphigenia, sacrificed so lightly for a puff of air. 3 vessels of love, all poured into you, my fourth, my brother who has not changed. Your very name has delivered me from slavery and shame.
Zeus looked down, looked us, looked Orestes and Electra, orphaned and exiled. Root out this evil monarchy, let our glory rise again.
Not so loud, not so loud, the air is in the ear. There's no tongue that can forego the pleasant feeling when another man's secret makes us the wonder of a stunned listener.
Apollo's command is like fate, no man can refuse it. The voice of Apollo, relentless, directs my feet, my mind, my hand towards a collision of killer with killer, recounting the horrors waiting for me if I fail. And if I fail, I pay for failure with my own life.
Justice brings everything to a balance. For every word, a word. For hatred, hatred. For every fatal stroke, a fatal stroke. For sacrilege, a violent death. For pride, the neck broken.
Father, you'd be better dead beneath Troy's wall, slain in open battle by a brave man's weapon. Your honour would be our glory, your name our wealth, in the mouths of all who remember Troy.
You would have shone in the underworld like a youth star. You would have reigned there, a king over many kings, just as on earth you reigned a king over kings.
Better he were not dead anywhere, either beside Scamander among those broken against the wall of Troy, or here, tangled in the crime that is our family's madness. The murderers, they the ones who should be dead, rotten and underground. Where is the accident that could have carried them both off in some casual fashion, before their plot snared us all in this blood-sodden knot?
You lords of the underworld, you crowned and thorned curses, look at us, lead us, guide us.
To stir up the dead and bring them crowding the air, tell them the story of our mother. Mother, with your stone eyes. You buried our father under a heap of stones. No funeral, no ceremony. The corpse rolled into a hole, and then instead of the tears, the stones.
With her loveless hand she dishonoured, not only a husband, not only a king, a father thrown into the earth with a laugh of triumph. My hands, as pitiless as hers, shall draw the payment of that from her heart.
What you did to his body, you did to my spirit and my heart. You flung me out like a dead dog. When you want to know what grief means, remember me.
Now let your will, like your grief, be stronger than life. The justice you bring is stronger than life. Assume that strength.
Father, rise up and possess me.
We're yours, Father. Save us, rise up and save us.
Help me remove them as they removed you, either by the truth of justice or by simple might of right. And let me deal with them as they dealt with you.
Our voice is the voice of your own race. It lives on only through us.
Don't let your last seed fall into the earth and rot. While we live, you who are dead are alive.
Words can do no more. If words alone can quench it, you have more than quenched the long thirst of this tomb. Nothing remains but the act.
Everything waits for the act. Act and prove that heaven and earth want the act done. Quickly, now.
It's true. There is nothing left for me but to perform it. Yet I'm curious to know what prompted the Queen to send these troops of mourners with wine and all for her husband's grave. If it be remorse, why so belated?
That I can tell you. After a nightmare that rode her out of her sleep, tearing the bed sheets, clutching her own mane and screaming, she sent these gifts.
Did she describe the dream? Can you describe it?
She described it. She dreamt she was having a child, but what came out was a big snake.
Anything else? Nothing else? Did she give it a meaning?
She swallowed the snake like a baby. She cradled it in her arms, and she kissed it.
How did she feed this child that was no child?
She began to suckle the fanged jaws.
Surely the fang sank into her breast.
Yes, and blood came out with the milk. The snake chewed the blood and the milk, curdling together.
She was right. The dream crept from her husband's grave.
She woke, clawing the walls of her bedchamber. Torches were lit up throughout the palace till the place blazed with light, and she sat, sobbing, suddenly terrified of Agamemnon.
One more prayer. To the earth that embraces my father's bones. Let me be the meaning of this nightmare. Let my soul interpret it. The meaning is plain. I am that snake. Her dream is our fate. Hers are mine. She must die, and I must murder her.
Your logic has the temper of bronze. You know your friends. Tell us. Which of us must do what? Clear plan.
Electra, you go back into the palace. Your part is to allay suspicion. Treachery give them the throne, and treachery will take it from them at the same price. Here is my part. I shall arrive at the gates of the palace. The gods there will see a foreigner dressed like a man from Focus, denouncing that I have come to the palace with a purpose. Once I am inside the palace, and see the creature, Aegisthus, squatting on my father's throne, before I can say, "What is your name?" my blade will split his heart. Electra, keep watch for us in the palace. Let nobody spring our simple trap. And you women, say nothing, or spoke as if you knew nothing. And you Hermes, god of dark pathways, guide my sword. Make the raw road to the underworld for these killers. Strangers at the gate, trolls at the gate. With the house of Aegisthus with open door, honest custom, we are strangers with news.
If your news is so important, let me have it. The open hospitality of this house is famed throughout Argos. Everything is yours. Hot baths, cool beds, with a welcome fitted to your station, and every entertainment. What is this news?
I come from Focus. I am a merchant, brought here by the market of Argos, which your gate is my first stop. On my way here I met a man, Strokis, also from Focus. When he heard of my destination, he asked if I would like to carry some news to the king of Argos. It might do some good, he told me. This is the news. Remember it. Orestes is dead. Deliver this message, he said, and tell him that he's been burned according to custom, with all the ceremonies necessary, and his ashes lie in a bronze casket.
The curse on the blood of this house is tracked down to the last drop. Nobody can escape you. I hide my treasures away, but you sniff them out and leave me bereft. Orestes was prudent. Only he remained to reverse the curse, but only for a few summers of illusion. Now the Fury writes his name in his own ashes.
Forgive me. It would have been far better if I had brought good news to our house of such high fortune. But I bound myself to deliver the news you needed to know. Sharp it is, and you will receive me with much understanding.
You have earned all you could hope for. Stranger, this house is your house, with every comfort you need. Show him to his chambers. See everything done for him as for my own family. Aegisthus shall hear this news. Our counsellors will help us decide what to make of it.
The strongest man and the most violent is weaker than his mother. Now is the time to give our strength to Orestes.
You heap of earth covering Agamemnon, hear our prayer.
Breathing power into the cunning of Orestes, put a new edge on his sword, guide it through the lightning split second that determines a life.
Our man from Focus is making himself felt. This is Celissa, once the nurse of Orestes. Celissa, what have you heard?
What has happened?
The Queen wants Aegisthus to hear the news from strangers. And now that she has heard it herself, her face is a mask of grief. She wears it for us, but through that mask her eyes blaze with joy. Hearing this, Aegisthus will also weep. Yes, weep for joy. He will bury his face in his hands, incredulous with joy. I thought I had done with you. I thought I could bear anything like a stone in the flood. But now, Orestes is dead. Orestes! I took him fresh from his mother's womb, fragrant as an arm full of flowers. It was me he cried for. Night after night, it was me he wore out with his endless wants. He was my life, and I was his life. And as he grew up, I was his wisdom. His father away in Troy, I was the uncle of Orestes. And now I must bring this man, who is hardly a man, the murderer of Agamemnon, to hear the best news of his life, that Orestes is dead.
How is Aegisthus to present himself to these strangers? Are there any instructions?
Should he come with a bodyguard? Odysseus never stood without a grudge about.
No, tell him this man is a timid merchant, too easily overawed, too easily scared into silence. Tell him, if he wants to know the whole story, he must come alone.
Are you so anxious for the death of Orestes to be told? The death of our last hope?
What if the great hand of Zeus should change the story, like a wind to blow in the opposite direction?
Is there any other news? What have you heard?
Go and deliver your message. Bring Odysseus to hear the biggest news you'll ever hear, and leave the work of the gods to the gods.
Zeus, you God over all gods, all that we pray for is justice. Let the misfortunes of this house be corrected according to justice. Let all those who have prayed for justice see the throne of Argos today return to the rule of justice.
The son of Agamemnon stands in his own palace. Bring the detestable one like a beast to be sacrificed to justice.
Zeus, you loved Agamemnon. Make the way clear for his son to reach the murderer with the sword of your justice.
Where is this merchant with the shocking news of the death of Orestes? This is an evil day if he brings the truth. Are we to think that the curse on his house is delivering its latest, on top of what is already intolerable?
The merchant is waiting. Ask him for the truth, simple and plain.
Where is he? Let me hear him. Let me hear what is known from those who know it. And the first question first. Were you there when he died? Or is this just one more rumour picked up in some marketplace? Better for him if he gives me the hard fact. He's dealing with a man who sees through men and the mesh of words.
Zeus, Zeus, dumb we pray, no words for the prayer to guide this moment, to level this blade, to set the point and slam the hilt to the ribcage.
Which voice was that? Whose death cry was that? Who is our master now? Say nothing, do nothing till we know. Either the best has happened, or the worst. Our lives have been decided.
Orestes is dead! Orestes is dead!
Where are the bodyguards? Is everyone dead?
Odysseus has been murdered. Where is the queen?
With terrible strength, a maniac has torn out his heart.
Warn the queen to protect her.
What is all this yelling about? Are you out of your minds? This is a palace.
The dead have risen, they butcher the living.
I knew it. I knew it. I could not believe it possible, but I knew it. By cunning we kill, now cunning will kill us. Oh God, let it be set up. Bring me a weapon. Let this long bloody coil come at last to the final twist.
He has paid the price. Now it is your turn.
Oh, my love, couldn't that huge strength help you?
Since it was your love, you shall sleep with him.
Orestes, my child, don't point at me with your sword. See the one who fed you when you were helpless, who was your first pillow when you were helpless.
Can a man kill his mother? Can he perform anything more dreadful than the killing of his own mother? What shall I do?
Remember the words of Apollo. Obey the command of the god of the oracle.
Embrace the enmity of mankind, rather than be false to the words of heaven.
Wise words, and spoken at the right time. Mother, I'm going to kill you now, on the corpse of your darling. When both were alive, you preferred him to my father. Now both are dead, you are stuck with your bargain forever.
I gave you life, Orestes. Let me have mine.
Yes, you gave me life, and made sure I was wretched. A life of bitterness, misery, humiliation, and the worst that is still to come after I've killed you. This is your gift. You gave me life, then spat me out as a curse.
I tried to protect you. Our trusted friends were your guardians. I arranged it.
I was born heir to the throne. You barred us away, both me and my throne.
How did I bar to you? What was your price?
That carcass! I shame to name or describe it.
Your father was not so faithful. Are you forgetting?
He lived in battle while you played on his bed.
Will you murder your own mother?
Me? Murder you? Mother, you've already murdered yourself. I merely hold the sword as you fall.
Remember the furies that rise from the blood of a mother.
If I relent, who loses my father's curse?
This is my dream. Here is the snake that crawled out of my womb and bit my breasts.
Your dream was no dream but prophecy. Your crime was sacrilege, and your punishment shall be sacrilege the same. Here are the tyrants. Here are my father's murderers, the murderers of your king, Agamemnon. When both were alive, they shared one throne, one bed in the whole wealth of Argos. Now both are dead, they share only death. While I am still sitting among you, let me declare this. My mother's death was decided in heaven by the gods. I was simply their weeping instrument.
You are justice itself. You have enacted justice. Don't foul the fact in all its brilliance with such gloomy words. Have courage of your destiny. You have liberated Argos, your own land.
Look there. Look. Women in grey coats. Faces like Gorgons. Don't you see them? They're coming.
Our Prince Orestes, this is your day of triumph. All your enemies are dead. All Argos rejoices in you.
These are hallucinations. After your inhuman exertions, you have nothing to fear.
Apollo, the earth is teeming with these creatures. Apollo, you do not warn me. They are climbing out of the earth. Eyes like weeping ulcers. Mouths like fetid wounds.
Hurry to Apollo's temple. Apollo will cleanse you. Apollo will wash your eyes clear of these visions.
You cannot see them, but I see them. You cannot feel their whips, but I feel them. Ah!
Only God can help Orestes. May God help him. May God guide his blind steps finally to peace.
You see how the ancient curse of this house strikes for a third time like a thunderbolt, and how the terrible blood splashes at last onto the hands of a good and innocent man.
The butchery of Thyestes' children began it. Next came the treachery of Clytemnestra, who stabbed her royal husband, Agamemnon.
Madness began it, brother against brother. Madness redoubled it, wife against husband.
Is this third the last? Son against mother? How is Orestes to break this ring of madness?
Wake up! Have you forgotten Orestes who murdered his mother? He's getting away, he's gone! You stare, but your prey flies. He has better allies, his helping at every corner, but mine sleep.
After him, Caesar, catch him, catch him, catch him. After him.
You hunt in your sleep like dogs, but what about your duty? Have you forgotten my pain? Strip his conscience naked with your whips dipped in acid. Deafen him with blasts of outrage. Hunt him into his grave.
Awake. Awake. Awake.
What was that point? What just happened? Orestes has tricked us. We have overslept like simple fools.
Apollo, you are a god, but you behave like a trickster. You ignore the old rules. You contradict and defy the older powers.
You call it justice to convince a man that his mother must be executed. Then protect the matricide, as if motherhood was an accident better forgotten.
How can that be justice? How can that be right?
Apollo, you may be a god of prophets, you may be the wisest of gods, but you have broken the laws, the oldest laws that destiny woven into the brains and bodies of men. You have rejected their claim, and you have done it to help one man.
Get out of this temple! All of you! This place is sacred to prophecy. You do not belong here. These walls are defiled by your presence. You belong in the dungeon, furnace for torturers, the den of flame, dismemberment, impalement. That is your banqueting hall. The chamber of screams is your rest place, for which you are detested by heaven. Get your living corpses out of this blessed precinct. Out! Out! Out!
Now I speak. You, Apollo, are to blame for everything Orestes has done. Orestes obeyed you, but you obeyed no one. It was your oracle, commanded him to kill his mother, and guaranteed him immunity for a crime that was agony to the earth.
My oracle ordered him to avenge his father.
Bloodied by her blood, he ran to you for protection.
I told him to flee to the safety of the temple.
We are his sacred escort. Why do you revile us?
You desecrate this temple.
Our presence here with Orestes is our a duty imposed on us by the earth, to harry the matricide, to hunt him out of his land and out of his wits.
When a wife murders her husband, who hunts her?
Wife and husband share no lineal blood. Whatever her act was,
It was not sacrilege.
So breaking the holy contract of marriage, blessed and sealed by Zeus and Hera, breaking it in a violent passion with a murderous weapon, is not sacrilege? The most sacred agreement among men is the marriage contract, which binds two total strangers to love each other, to protect each other, and blend their love in a third who loves both. Yet you recognize no contract with the Father, neither between his wife and him, nor between him and his son, whose blood he shares. This may be the law of the earth, but it is not human justice. Only Athene, great goddess of wisdom, could judge this. She shall hear our call.
We shall never leave Orestes.
After him then, do your worst.
Apollo, you may be important in heaven, one of the greatest in the circle of gods, but I shall sniff out Orestes by the smell of his mother's blood. I shall bring him to bay, and I shall demand justice.
Orestes asked me for help. In hell, on earth, and in heaven, I shall help him. And should I ever forsake him, hell and earth and heaven would crumble into a chaos of rage against me.
Divine Athene, hear me. Apollo directed me to your temple here in Athens. Be patient with me, Athene. Hear my story to the end. Favour me with your judgment. I am a fugitive. I have worn out the Furies in the tangle of earth roads, in the maze of tracks and pathways. At last, I have reached your temple. Obedient to Apollo, here I stand in front of your effigy, surrendering my trial, my hope, my life to your judgment.
His trail grows clear like the track of fire. The smell of his mother's womb clings to his heels, plain as the blood-splashed root of the wounded stag and the noses of the hounds. We have skimmed over seas wingless and bounded among high peaks, running him down. Again and again we have found him exhausted and collapsed around him, exhausted. But he has always slipped away and escaped us.
Now he is here. Where is he? He is someone. The reek of his fear is thick in the air.
Look, there, that's him, the matricide. Lock the door, close the traps, don't let him get away.
Once again, he found a refuge from the taste of our lips. This time, clinging to the statue of goddess, begging for justice and kind in these ashes.
There is no hope for Orestes. His mother's blood convicts.
Your guilty soul shall render to us the rags of the body she gave you. As long as you live, your body shall render to us these Jews. Fate has granted your body to us, to hunt and consume till you're dead!
The blood has been washed from my hands. I have cleansed myself of the guilty matricide with the blood offerings at the shrine of Apollo. Now I call on the city of Athens. With holy words, I call on the great goddess Athene, whose wisdom rule Athens. I call on her to help me. Myself, my own land of Argos, and all who belong to Argos shall be hers, bound to her in sacred alliance. If she will help me, I call on her to judge my case and to save me.
Apollo cannot save you. Athene cannot save you. But you are mine. There is no justice but ours. The pure man goes free. He does not interest us. Only the sinner, hiding his bloody hands, covering his head with his bloody hands. We convict him. We drag out of his body the price of the blood he has shed.
Fate will shape everything that happens on earth. It's a punished ghost which do this work.
Our labours relieve the gods that chastise pitying us. Zeus and horses, though we do his work. Zeus, how long knows?
The law is everlasting, and we are the everlasting enforcers of the law. We are hated, but the law cannot bend or renounce its cause.
Who summoned me with such a powerful voice? Now I am astonished by what I see. Who are you? You who cling to my effigy like a child clinging to his mother. And you, creatures that cannot be described, like nothing that belong on this earth or among the gods. But let me be just. Let me remember the fair tongue of reason. Daughter of Zeus, hear us. We are the daughters of primeval darkness. Our land is deep in the earth. Men call us that curse. I know you, and I know what men say of you. Perhaps you do, but now you shall hear our duties. Be simple and clear.
We hunt all who commit murder,
And can your prey escape you?
only where happiness is never known.
You are driving this man beyond that limit.
Orestes killed his mother deliberately.
Did no greater power force him to do it?
What power can madden a man to kill his own mother?
Is this the case you present? Who speaks against you?
Try him. Hear the facts, then give judgment.
But will you accept my decision?
We trust your father's name and his great wisdom.
Orestes, speak. You believe in my justice. That is what brings you so far, to kneel here like a statue, fixed to the foot of my statue. Tell me first your country, your breeding, your history. Then reply to the charge, and let your words be simple and clear.
Athene, goddess of divine wisdom, I was born in Argos. You knew my father. You joined with him to crush Troy, Agamemnon. When he came home to wash off the long war's weariness, my mother opened her arms and enfolded him in a net, where she killed him and rolled helpless in the water. I knew what had happened. I returned after years of exile, and Apollo had let me know what I would suffer if I failed to avenge his murder. So I killed my mother. Was I right or wrong? Athene, be my judge. I'll accept your decision.
This case is too deep for a man. Nor should I let the law, like an axe, fall mechanically on a murderer. But your accusers have to be heard, and if their case fails, what happens to their anger? It whirls up into the air, it blackens heaven, it falls like a plague on Athens. How am I to deal with the dilemma? Let me select a jury among the wisest among citizens of this city. Let them be the first of a permanent court passing judgment on murder. They shall be sworn in to integrity and truth. They shall have the full use of my wisdom.
This is an evil day. If this new jury, by so juggling, exculpate this killer, his example will become a model, a license for homicides.
Children, washing their hands in the blood of their parents, shall thank Orestes for opening a gate in the law through which they can walk blameless.
Man cannot do good without fear of the consequences of doing evil. If man's hand is not supervised by the Furies, that hand will stop at nothing.
Man without fear of the law will easily kill, as if by nature. The city without fear of the law is that killer's playground.
Lawless freedom is evil, the tyrant's penal code is evil. Freedom in one part of the balance, stern rule in the other. Where these come in equilibrium, the scales are in the hand of God.
All jurors and citizens assemble in silence, a clause which I have created to serve men, to establish justice now and throughout all time to come.
Apollo, look after your own affairs. You have no right to vote in this case. Your presence here today is interfering.
Let what I have to say decide that. According to the law, this man, Orestes, is under my sacred protection. Since I appointed the stroke of the sword blade that dispatched his mother, it is for me to argue his case.
You, the plaintiff, speak first. The charge must be heard in full.
Many as we are, our words will be few and to the point. Did you or did you not kill your mother?
I cannot deny it. I killed her.
So there's the first round, and we have won it.
Don't be too pleased with yourselves too quickly. There's more to come.
Even so, describe to us how you killed her.
I stabbed her through the heart with my sword.
And who talked you into this act?
Apollo, he is my witness. His oracle commanded me to do it.
The great god of prophecy and poetry persuaded you to matricide, yes?
He did, and has protected me ever since.
You will think differently when his court condemns you.
My mother's guilt was double, which doubled her sentence.
What do you mean? Explain yourself to the court.
She killed her husband, and she killed my father.
Her death paid for all, but you are alive.
While she lived, after she killed her husband and my father, where were you in your justice?
We stir only for killers of their own blood kin.
Is my blood my mother's?
Butcher, you were made in her womb by her blood. How can you deny the blood of your mother fed into your veins?
Apollo, tell them. Prove them act. My killing her was an act of justice. Make this clear. Apollo, teach me how to defend what I have done.
Great court of Athene, let me speak as the god of true prophecy. All my words are just and true. So it was with what I said to Orestes. Remember too, no oath or other earthly consideration can counter the nod of Zeus.
Are you saying that Zeus dictated the words that you dictated through your oracle? Are you saying that Clytemnestra, remembering Iphigenia, had no case when she murdered Agamemnon?
The words of Zeus are law. The two deaths of Agamemnon and Clytemnestra are utterly different from each other. He was a king, invested in divine right, Agamemnon had returned triumphant from the long war. He had cleansed his battle-stained body in the ritual bath. Clytemnestra attended him in this cleansing. But then, as he stepped out the bath, she flung a robe of mesh around his body and pushed him backwards. Helpless, he fell into the water. And there, as he wallowed, netted in the water, she drove her sword through him 3 times. Citizens, and you who sit on the jury, you 12 who are here to judge Orestes, this was how the father of Orestes died, and now you know what kind of woman killed him.
You are saying Zeus values only the father. Yet, how did Zeus treat his own father? When Cronos became old, Zeus bound him, not with a net of silk, but a net of chains. When did fathers become so precious? Jurors, do you hear?
Filthy witches! Rubbish of creation! Chains can be unwound, but blood cannot be recalled from the dust. Once the life is out, you cannot relight it. Death is the only ailment for which Zeus appointed no cure.
It is time for the jurors to consult their conscience and cast their vote. Have both plaintiff and defendant finished?
I shall abide by the jurors' verdict.
Are you happy to hear the jurors make their decision?
As the jury cast their vote, let them remember both their oath and the primal laws of the earth.
Citizens of Athens, this is the first case of homicide to be tried in the court I have established. This court is yours. From today, every homicide shall be tried before this jury of Athenians. Here, my law shall stand, unchanged throughout the hours of the day, the days of the years. Where a pure spring is polluted by a filthy trickle, no man can drink or will drink without being poisoned. I open upon this rock the pure springs of my laws. Do not taint them by any expedient shift for advantages. Above all, remember the power of fear and cherish it in your ministry of the laws. The man who need not fear the consequences of anything he does brings his evil dreams into the open. He lets them play in the sun. It is fear that crowns the court with a halo of sanctity. In this court you have a fortress, possessed by no other people. I give you this court, and I bless it, like heaven, holy, and like heaven, vigilant, quick to anger and to punish. Now set your hearts in your oath and give judgment with your whole being in heaven. I have spoken.
If we lose this judgment, this land and the city of Athens will decay. We shall blast it with a curse.
The old gods detest you just as much as we, the younger gods, detest you. We shall win this judgment.
You are young. We are old. You think you can trample us down? When we have heard the verdict, that will be the moment soon enough to avenge ourselves on Athens.
I have the final casting vote. You jurors, after the votes are counted, my vote goes to Orestes. In my reckoning, the death of a woman who killed her husband weighs nothing against the death of her victim. Therefore, if the votes of the jury are equal, my vote gives judgment to Orestes.
The vote is cast. Citizens, count with care. Your sorting is sacrosanct where justice is divine. Loss of a single vote will bring a man's life down in ruins. One vote gained will raise the ruins of a life to a future of good fortune.
The jury is divided equally between the accused and the plaintiff. Therefore, my vote decides it. Orestes is acquitted.
Athene, you've given an exile his own home, and now it can be said, Orestes is an Argon. Orestes upholds his father's throne. I'm going to Argos, but before I go, let me swear this. For all time to come, Attica shall be a beloved friend of Argos. No Argives shall ever carry a weapon against Attica. And for you, people of Athens, I pray, may all your enemies be humbled. For you, may the word battle and the word victory be forever one.
The earth is overthrown. Our laws are obsolete. You younger gods who argue us out of court and rob us of what is ours, you violate creation. You dishonor the voice of the blood of the earth. I shall not weep for Athens, where this forum of slippery orations mocking justice was invented.
I shall not weep for the folly of Athens, when the daughters of darkness, the voices of the blood of the earth, take their revenge.
Our old laws are crushed under the new.
Our justice is buried like the ashes of Troy. The voices of the blood that you have banished cry from the stones.
But that buried voice shall rise like miasma, and fall on this land as a madness.
weep when the scream of all living creatures goes up from Attica.
Noble ladies, I beseech you, suspend your anger till you have heard me speak. This even vote, fairly arrived at, is no humiliation to you. How could Orestes not be saved when the great god who ordered him to strike reveals the hand of Zeus signing the warrant? Let your rage pass into understanding, as into the coloured clouds of a sunset promising a fair tomorrow. Do not let it fall as a reign of sterility and anguish on Attica. And here in Athens, the envied city, you shall have a permanent home. You shall sit on thrones of dignity in a sacred cavern, and receive tributes of gratitude and honour forever from all our people. If you live here in this sanctuary prepared for you, you shall be acknowledged as nowhere else on earth. You shall be cherished, you shall be honoured, as marriage and childbirth, those oldest sacraments of blood, where two strangers are united out of love, and a new being is brought out of the chaos. All shall pay you tribute.
What rights come with it if we accept it?
No family shall flourish without your favour.
Can this promise be kept?
Athene promises nothing she cannot perform.
Your words have stirred us. They have melted our anger.
Here in Athens, you are among friends.
Let us bless Attica. Never let civil war, the most malignant of all misunderstandings, divide Athens. Give Athens a single mind, a whole mind, as marriage gives to two strangers one child. And we bless all who live in the city, who love this rock, who walk with the gods, all who fear us and welcome us, all whose prayers are humble. We shall bless you.
Terrible kindly ones, come to your rest in the flame of torches, and let the voice of every citizen, with a shout of welcome, be made holy. Pour out the wine, let the pine bough crack and blaze. Zeus, father of all, guards the city of Athens, so that God and fate, in a divine marriage, can be made one in the flesh of all our people, and the voice of their shout is single and holy.